Now, as you remember, all task 1 for the academic writing test of the IELTS, we start with an introduction. And the introduction will have 2 parts, isn't it? The first part, until here, this full stop. What we do is we try to paraphrase the question. What does paraphrasing mean? We change the word, isn't it? Where are we going to paraphrase? If you have a look at the top of your task, when you take the test, you will have a picture, a line graph, a pie chart. Oh, my boss is so loud. Can you still hear me? Am I clear? Who's winning in this contest? I think he's winning. Now, as you can see in all type 1 or task 1, you will have a picture, line graph, pie chart or table, and at the top you will have the instruction. Now, if you remember, I told you when you take the test, ignore this part. Ignore this part and ignore that part. 1, 2, and 3. That's not very important. We've already talked about that, and we only focus on this section. Okay? What you're going to do is try to change as many words as you can here, and that is called paraphrasing. Now, if you remember, how did we paraphrase? Let's review. We said the line graph below shows changes. How did we paraphrase change? Differences. Remember, when you paraphrase, you have to follow the same form. What does that mean? Changes, differences, isn't it? How did we paraphrase amount? Quantity. How did we paraphrase consume? What does consume mean? To eat or to use something. How did we paraphrase the word consume? Purchased. Good. And teenagers, teens. Right. So that's step 1 when writing line graph or anything in task 1. Step 2, second line or second sentence, we have to give an overview. What is an overview? The general idea. Now, some students make a common mistake. Listen carefully. In any task 1 academic, when you give an overview, remember overview is 일반적인. It's a general idea. You cannot put any number here. Okay? Number 없어요. Okay? How do you say number? 숫자, isn't it? Now, nothing in this section, as you can see. For a line graph, we only mention what is the movement of the line. And there are 3 movements, if you can remember. The 3 basic movements in a line graph is increase, decrease, and what do we call the up and down movement? You're going to give me a heart attack on the last day of class. What was that? Fluctuate. Good. Fluctuate. So, increase means going up, decrease goes down. Some line graphs, they do an up and down movement, and that is fluctuate. As we know in our reading and writing class, if a word ends in ate, what does that mean? It's a verb, 동사. And we can change that simply by making it into a noun to shun, isn't it? So, fluctuation. Fluctuate would be the verb, and fluctuation would be our noun. Okay? Now, if you take a look at our line graphs, your books are colored, right? The blue color, what is the blue color? Pizza. Pizza, what happened? What kind of movement is pizza? It's going up. Increase. The green color is a hamburger, also increased. So, in our writing, we said, template, as can be seen from the figures, it is apparent that all our task 1 academic will start with this line, okay? What does that mean? Be seen. 비동사, 비동사. As you can see. Remember, we studied last time, writing you is considered informal in English. So we don't say as you can see. No, that is not considered. It's a bit rude writing like that. So we say be seen. Passive. Be 동사. From the figures, what does the figure mean? The shape. It is apparent. Everybody say apparent. Clear. Good. Then we mentioned the first. Consumption of both pizza and hamburgers increased. Why did we say both? Because, have a look, if we don't say both pizza and hamburgers becomes one item. Like fish and chips, it's one item, right? So if you have two and you want to say together, you have to write both A and B. Okay? While, what does while mean? But, 근데. Consumption of fish and chips increased. Okay? Now we're ready to start writing the body. Now in your paper, I'd like you to put a space. After an introduction, always put one empty line, space, and then go to the next line. How many lines do we have here? How many lines? 3 lines. That means you need to write 3 small paragraphs. John, what if I only write 2 lines? You will have minus in your score. Okay? Now, generally, listen carefully, for a line graph, we will follow 4 movements. Let's start. How much? What's the movement? Is it increase or is it decrease? How much is the end? Okay, so we follow that. How much is the beginning? What is the movement? Is it going up or down? We have to mention that. And how much is it at the end? Finally, number 4, the 4th step, we have to say, how much did it grow? For example, when you're going to weigh yourself, in the New Year's Day, January 1, you put yourself on the weighing scale. I'm 60 kilos. In December, you weigh yourself, and then you how much did you gain or lose after 12 months? You understand? So I'll show you this, how to do that. It's very easy to remember. The first, we'll say, the figures for. What does figure mean? Shape or number. Oops. Okay. The figures for. Figures means shape or number. And in this case, we will write pizza. So, the figures for pizza started at 얼마요? How much? In 언제요? Time. Okay? So we'll start like this. The figures for pizza started at. Now, before we continue, we have to say 얼마, right? How much? In a line graph, it's usually not exact. You understand? It's not fixed. Look at number 1. How much do you think is that? 3, 4, 6. 어떻게 알아요? There's nothing here. The rule in IELTS is you can only write what you can see. Can you see any 4 or 5? 없어요. So you can't. What should you do? What is the thing you see? 20. So you'll say below, or what is paraphrase of below? Under 20. How much? Is it well below 20 or just below 20? Well below. That's how we write, okay? So we will say the figures for pizza started at well below 20. Now you also have to mention 20 bo. 20 what? Is it 20 million? $20? You can see that usually at the side of the line graph. So have a look. What does it say here? Number of times eaten per year. What is per year? Each year. Good. So we will say, and copy, simply copy, 20 times per year. And 언제요? 1975. Good. Okay, so that's step one. Step two, we have to say, how's the movement? Okay, so the figures for pizza started at well below 20 times per year, 1975. Step two, what's the movement? Now, in many line graph, listen carefully, in many line graph, the movement is not simple. It's not very straight line, isn't it? Usually the line will be and then suddenly up, or go down, then up. The line graph is not straight, isn't it? It's curved. So we can cut that into two parts. How? It depends where. For example, let's have a look at pizza. Here's the movement here. If you notice, this section is a bit slow. But this section is a bit up, isn't it? So we will divide that in here and we'll put a line. That part. That means, I will divide this section, this first part, and then next. Let's have a look at hamburgers. Is the movement for hamburger same? Not really. The first part here is very up, and suddenly slow. So we will divide that into this section. Okay? And finally, what about hamburgers? Hamburgers, down, up movement. What is this? Down, up, fluctuate. And this one is down. So I'll divide that into this. Do you understand? Okay? Now, we will describe the first movement as sentence 2. tul. It initially showed. What does initially mean? In the beginning. First part. Our pattern, it initially showed a 형용사, adjective, 명사. And please erase the word trend. We don't need the word trend here. So just put line there, or erase this word. Okay? And just continue and reached. So we will see and write, it initially showed a 형용사, 명사, adjective, noun. Tonight, or if you're planning to take the academic test, please study the words here. These are your templates. Okay? In this section, 형용사, 명사. One box is same meaning. For example, dramatic. Everybody say dramatic. Dramatic. This is not Korean drama dramatic, okay? In English, task 1, dramatic means suddenly up. Okay? Dramatic. 똑같다. Sharp. Same meaning. So it's, how is it? Standard? Paraphrase. Synonyms. The opposite word, hande, is slow or gradual. So they are same meaning, same meaning. And then you match it here. Increase, rise, growth, 명사. Okay? Now, let's have a look at this. We know that in this case, the first part is rise. 어떻게요? Is it dramatic or slow? Slow or gradual. Good. So we can say it initially showed a gradual 형용사, rise 명사. And reached how much? In 언제요? Okay, always how much time? How much time? Okay, now how much do you think is this? In 1985, how much is this? Maybe 37, John. No, we can't say like that. Only 40, isn't it? Below 40. Is it just or well? Well, okay? So it depends. I think it's just or well. We'll say well today. Okay, so well. Below, what is another word for below? Under. 40 times per year. In 1985. Okay, sentence 3. In the remainder of the study, what does in the remainder mean? In the remainder. Initially is in the beginning. In the remainder means at the end part. Okay? In the remainder means in the later half. In the later half. In the remainder. What does study mean? Is it 공부? Study? Now if you remember in your reading skill, we learned matching. What is the study? A study is also a research. Or a study can also be an experiment. Please remember them. They are part of your 300 essential vocabulary for your IELTS test. For writing, reading, or listening. Okay? Study, research. Next set, 동사, 부사 combination. So we need to show variety. First part, 동명사, 명사. Next part, 동사, 부사. How did it show? What kind of movement did it show? It still increased, but this time it is dramatic. Good. So we will write in the remainder of the study. It. 동사. So we'll have to choose here. There are so many verbs in this section. We can say increase, rise, or grow. Okay. Past tense. 과거. Everybody say increase, increased. Rise, rise, rose. Like the flower. Good. So rise, put there, rose. Why do you have to remember? Because if you get line graph, usually 90% 과거. It's in the past tense. Okay? What about grow? How do we paraphrase grow? Growed? Grew. Okay? Decrease? Decreased. Decline? Declined. What about fall? Fold? Fold? Like that? Fell. Good. Okay. Alright, very important. Now, in the remainder of the study, in, which should we use? We've already used increase in the introduction. We always have to paraphrase. Rose. We haven't used this yet. So, it rose. And busa, adverb, dramatically. Now, sentence 3 and 4 are connected. Okay? So don't put full stop. Don't put full stop in this section. Keep going and finish at how much? How much did it finish at? On here. Over?
Just over.
80. Just? Well. Just. Over 80. Just over 80 times now we already used per year. Look at this. Per year. Per year. We have to change that. What is another word for year in English? It starts with letter A. Annual. Good. So, annual. And we know in our writing class, if the word ends in al, like this, A-L. Oh, A-L there. What is that word? 형용사. It's an adjective. We can put annually. Every year. Okay? In 2000. That's the year. Finally, we have to write how much was the difference. How much is the difference here? So, what we'll do from 3 until here, how much do you think changed? About 60, right? Now, we will say like this, the last sentence is like a conclusion. This shows an increase or a decrease of how much. Now, when you put how much, please mention these words. Roughly. Approximately. And estimated. Then, how much? Because we're not sure exactly, isn't it? Okay? So, everybody say roughly. Approximately. And estimated. What is estimated? Not sure, not fixed. Okay, so we'll continue that by writing this shows an increase of approximately 60 times annually. And that's finished. Now, what you'll do, as you notice, you already have introduction, pizza, then you go to the next one. I'll try to do fish and chips the first half, and you will do the other ones, okay? Now, have a look at fish and chips. How much did fish and chips start? 100. Exactly 100, isn't it? So, good. The figures for this time we will change pizza to fish and chips. We also have to paraphrase the word started. How do we paraphrase the word start?
Begin.
Good. So, begin. Past tense, 과거, began. I say space, always don't forget to put space, the figures for fish and chips began at 100 times per year. It initially showed sentence 2. It initially showed a, what do we follow? 형용사, 명사. What is the movement?
down,
Up and down. What is up and down? Fluctuate. 근데 noun, 명사, fluctuation. 어떻게? How would you describe that fluctuation? Is it a little fluctuation? How do you know? Little is like this. Dramatic, sharp fluctuation is very big. Like tsunami. You know tsunami, right? What is tsunami in Korean? Oh, same. I didn't need to ask about that. Up and down. How is the movement? Is it big fluctuation or just a little?
just
A little. So we can say gradual. Or another word that you can put, please add in your book here, slow, gradual, and one more. Please put one more in your book. So you have a lot of vocabulary. 조금, slight. 그래서 부사, slightly. Good. Today, what we want to use is adjective. So it initially showed a slight, 형용사, 명사, fluctuation. Oh, in here. Thanks, Chloe. In 19, was it 75? It's 75. Thanks, Chloe. It initially showed a slight fluctuation and reached. Now, how much is this part in here? This section. Under 100. Is it well or just? Just. Good. Just. Under 100 times annually in 1985. The other one is going down, isn't it? Right. In the remainder of the study, or what is the paraphrase of remainder? Later half. So we'll try to paraphrase. In the later half of the study, it. This time we will use 동사, 부사 combination. We know the word is decline, isn't it? How? Dramatically. But we have to change dramatically, sharply. Good. So, in the remainder of the study, it went down like this. Very down. So it declined. Past tense, climbed. 동사, then 우산, sharply. And sentence 4, finished at how much in time? How do we paraphrase the word finished? Very simple. It starts with letter E. Ended. Good. Now, another word for end is a formal vocabulary. It starts with letter T. E. R. What was it? Terminate. Good. You can hear that if you're taking the train. This train will terminate here. Means do not board this train, right? So terminate means to finish, end. Okay? So and ended at how much is this? Oh, there's a little bit here, isn't it? So just, we've used just a lot. What is the paraphrase of just? A little. Under 40, right? So at a little, 조금. Under or below 40 times per year. Finally, we have to make a conclusion. 그래서 this shows, is it increase or decrease? Decrease. A decrease of, let's use approximately. How much do you think? 100 and then 40. How much is that? 60. So this shows a decrease of approximately 60 times per year.
Should I put 2000?
Oh yes, thank you. In 2000. I keep forgetting that. In 2000. Approximately 60 times. Okay, now I'd like you to do hamburger as part of your homework. If you have the chance to drop by here, just give it to reception. If you can't, you can take a photo and send it to me through Kakao. You already have my Kakao ID. Okay? So we can check. This should be very easy. Put a space and then write hamburger.